if you're okay, Ben, and we'll get started, and hopefully the other board members will be able to join us. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Marcy Scoggins, Chair of the Mississippi Charter School Authorizer Board. This regular meeting of the MCSOB is being held today, Monday, April the 7th, 2025 at 1 p.m. The notice of this meeting, which included the date, time, place, and purpose of the meeting and identified the virtual attendance available to the public, has been posted. Minutes of this meeting will be recorded. The meeting is being called to order at 1:01 p.m. on Monday, April the 7th, 2025. As I call the name of the board members, please state the location of your presence for this meeting. Jay Carney. Sandra McKiernan.
Present in the office.
Erin Meyer.
Present in the boardroom.
Ben Morgan.
Present via teleconference in Laurel, Mississippi.
Thank you. Candace Robbins. Marcy Scoggins, and I'm present in the boardroom, and Jennifer Whittier is unable to join us today. But a quorum is present for conducting the meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, the invocation, and the reading of the mission. We'll start with the pledge. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you'll join me in a quick word of prayer. Father God, we just thank you for this day and another opportunity to serve you well and love you more, Lord. I pray that you be with us during this meeting and guide and direct our decisions, that they be pleasing to you, and help the children, parents, administrators, and schools that we serve. In His name we pray. Amen. The mission of the Mississippi Charter School Authorizer Board is to authorize high-quality charter schools, particularly schools designed to expand opportunities for underserved students. So at this point, we will move on to the adoption of the agenda that I think everyone on the board has been sent. I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Please identify yourself for the record.
Erin Meyer, so moved.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second, Sandra McKiernan.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Hi, this is Marcy. Who just joined us?
This is Jay Carney. I'm sorry, I'm a few minutes late.
No, that's okay. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Carney. We are moving on to the approval of the minutes of the March 17th, 2025 regular monthly meeting. You have received a copy of the March 17th meeting minutes. I will entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record. Is there a motion?
Jay Carney makes the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second that one too, Sandra McKiernan.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So now we'll move on to the chair report, and I don't have anything specifically to report, but to officially welcome Erin Meyer, who is joining the board as the representative for the Department of Education. She has been given the oath of office, and we're so glad to have you join us.
Thanks for having me.
I don't have anything else, so I will turn it over to you, Dr. Kamachari, for
Thank you.
the Executive Director report.
All right, thank you. Well, I normally welcome the guests, but we're we're kind of quiet today. Yeah. Well, so I want to say first of all, welcome to. We're glad to have you on the board, and looking forward to working. A few updates since we last met. The first thing I want to talk about are the recruitment packets, and I'm going to turn it over to Bree for just a minute and let her tell you what's on your table in terms of the recruitment packets. We, one of our responsibilities is to ensure that we that we have quality applicants for our application process, and it's tricky.
So the package that you have is what was sent out to around 70 prospective authorizers, or not authorizers, I'm sorry, CMOs and ESPs across the country. And we hope that we can attract Mississippi. We included last year's, because this year's wasn't available yet, annual reports and our updated fact sheet. And then the sheet you have on top, the invitation to apply, the one that was sent out is actually different. Those are the ones for our next application cycle. So they're a little bit more updated. That's why the dates are different.
Any questions for Bree?
Thank y'all so much. That's awesome.
We started sending those out a few years back, and I guess we moved up to about 70 in terms of recruitment. So I think that's just going to be helpful in getting our name out there and our image out there as well. So, okay. Moving on then, during COVID, schools received an extra infusion of a lot of money from the level. And last week, I know Aaron will know this well, Ed sent out some information to the states, state superintendents in particular, about pulling back on some of those extensions that were granted. And so MDE is working with schools that have been impacted by those ESSER funds that are no longer available at this point. I took Dr. Evans' email and forwarded that to our schools to see which, if any, of our schools had been impacted. 5 of the 10 schools that we have already expended all of their ESSER funds, so they will not have any issues. I haven't heard from everybody yet, but my purpose was to find out, 1, if anybody was impacted, and then 2, what we could do to support them in developing some sort of request for an extension. And I know that Dr. Evans and his team are working on that to work with those eligible districts. So I can keep you posted on that just via email and let you know what's going on. Additionally, last month, I shared with you all that we had, Dee and I had gone up to Greenwood and visited LaFleur Legacy for their site renewal visit. Since that time, we have visited Smilo Prep and Reimagine Prep, both, for their site renewal visits. And I have to say again, this process has been pretty seamless. We've had a little hiccup here and there in terms of maybe communication, but not with the schools, with our vendor. But all in all, it's just been a really, really good process, as it has last year. Schools received their initial draft recommendations on Friday, and those draft recommendations for each of the schools is for a 5-year full-term renewal. So that's exciting and really, really, really exciting. We haven't heard back. We didn't hear any yahoos or wahoos or anything from the schools, but that was on Friday afternoon, late in the day. But I know they are as excited as we are to see those recommendations come through. Having said that, we will need to have a special call board meeting to meet our statutory timeline to make sure that the board takes action on those recommendations. We have a tentative date set for April the 30th, which will give the schools time to respond with any corrective, if there were any errors in there, they can respond to those errors and so forth. So we'll hope that works out for just a meeting on that.
And that's not on a Monday, that's on a Thursday.
On a Wednesday or Thursday.
That'll give me time to get back from the other stuff.
Wednesday.
I couldn't have done it. If we'd have done it that Monday, I would have.
Yeah, and not in that part of my report.
And I'm allowed to drive myself now.
Oh,
Don't y'all
that's
do
great.
that.
That's great.
I don't want to kill myself.
No, we don't want you to kill
Look, I'm on trial today with my children, so. I could not have gone to Tupelo for 3 days and then pack up and go up here on Monday. So I got this.
Well, we'll hope that it works out. And having said that, I am going to see if maybe Ms. Rosemary Altman could do the work session for us on that date. If the majority of board members could be available, it would be nice for us to go ahead, have that meeting in person.
The morning
special
when you
call,
missed.
right, and then do the work session with her. That's really gonna be phase one of the strategic plan. I have that further on in my report, but since we were talking about the April 30 day, that's kind of, put that on your radar for right now. But Dr. McDonald, going back to renewal, Dr. McDonald's done a really good job leading this work. Now, this is his second go around.
Second
He
go
got-
around,
That
yeah.
was his first task last year when he joined the board. So I'm really proud of the work and the leadership that he's provided around that. School expansion, we did receive admissions application for school expansion. That came in on the date that it was due. And the next phase in that is the completeness check, and that'll be due to the school a week from tomorrow. I can tell you from just a brief look at his application, it's just incredibly well done, like everything that they. So I'm anxious to get into the meat of the matter on that one. Also had an opportunity to visit Instant Impact a week or so ago on Friday, and for their market day, they have embedded into their school model a program where students are engaged in life skills and work a lot on life skills. And it was really, really, really incredible to see kindergartners, first graders talking about banking and finance. They had a bank that they set up. They set up businesses all around the entire school. They have guests from all over the community coming in. The children are leading the work. So they have their own businesses. They have to apply for a business license, and the business license is set up on their, on their little tables where they have their business. They had a nonprofit. They had a legislature. They had a mayor. They had the bank. They had a spa, which I think I showed you the picture of me from the spa. So I got some massage from this sweet little girl who was doing massages at the spa. They had their nonprofit, they had stress balls, and they had made stress balls out of balloons. And they just had, if you can imagine it, they had a travel agency, and this was awesome. Kindergartners, first graders, second graders, now I'm talking little ones. They had a travel agency that you could go to and select one of 5 places that you wanted to go. Well, I said, I would like to go, out of the list, I'd like to go to Egypt. Okay, well, that's great. Now you sign up and go to Egypt. Then you go over to the virtual reality and to our little VR lab, and you get to go to Egypt and tour Egypt. I mean, it was just amazing what they were doing. And Dr. Rucker was just really welcoming, and it was great. It was a great day. I hated to have to leave, but I had to drive a little bit to get home. So anyway, it was wonderful. And I do want to take just a minute and read you the response I got from her. She said, thank you for attending Market Day. It truly meant a lot to me and our entire community. Your presence added a layer of significance to the day, and we were honored to have you. This is the part I really want you to hear. I shared the wonderful news about receiving more VR units with the students, and their loud cheers said it all. They are absolutely thrilled. Thank you again for your continued support and for helping us create meaningful and exciting learning opportunities for our scholars. So all of that is to say, as most of you remember, we got a $500,000 grant from a congressionally directed spending opportunity through Cindy Hyde-Smith's office. That money went to immersive technology and the virtual reality carts and headsets for the schools, along with some content that was developed especially for our schools. SR1 did not want theirs. And so we had it picked up. Marie coordinated that with the Lafaki folks, and now we're going to have them sent down to Instant Impact. Those kiddos were delighted. They were having so much fun using it to begin with, and then and learning from it. And so, what a great opportunity! So our school will benefit from those additional VR sets. Then, continuing on with school tours, on a really, really short notice, I reached out to Dr. Bass and at Republic and asked her if I might be able to tour Smilo Prep, Smilo Collegiate with some potential partners. And I received a quick response, and she said, of course, just go to as many schools as you'd like to and tour as many as you'd like. So we did, and we toured Smilo Collegiate, Smilo Prep, and we went to Revive. And we saw some of the most incredible instruction taking place, just like we did at Reimagine Prep during the renewal tour and at LaFleur. It was outstanding. And the one thing I want to really share with you about Revive in particular was their principal, Mr. Clark, had selected about 5 or 6 little ambassadors. Now, these are kinder, first, second grade kiddos. They had an assignment not only to be an ambassador, but to be a building principal. So they welcomed us into the foyer area, and they introduced themselves, each one. Hi, my name is Liz Carmacharya, and I'm principal for the day. Hi, my name is Sandra McKernan, and I am principal for the day. They had their clipboards with them, and their clipboards had a list of things they were supposed to observe when they went into the classroom as an observing building principal. They had to write down the name of the teacher, they had to write down the number of students in the classroom, how many students were engaged in the instruction, how many children were off task, and what the objective for the day was. So they were amazing. And it was just, I just can't tell y'all how much it has meant to be able to get into the schools and really see some of the things that are going on and the good things that are happening every day. So I'm grateful for those opportunities and grateful. They made us feel so welcome, and it was just a quick, hey, we're coming to your schools, and you would have thought that, they just do that every single day and let just strangers come in and wander through the building, see what's going on. But they were very, very welcoming, so I appreciate that. So a special thank you to all those schools and to Dr. Bass. We also had a kickoff meeting with we have some guests. Kickoff meeting with a provider for pre-opening. So we contracted with Claire last month to do some work in pre-opening, and she'll provide that going forward along in conjunction with us as well. But we had a nice little kickoff meeting, and then we had an introductory meeting between her, Dr. McDonald, myself, and the schools, Archway and Mississippi Global. So that went really well. We talked about the pre-opening requirements that those schools will have to meet. They're on 2 different timelines. I want to point that out because, of course, Archway is on a delayed opening, and then Mississippi Global is scheduled to open in the fall. There are a couple of submissions, required submissions, like submitting their bylaws and things like that, where they will have the same date for that requirement, but for the most part, they're on 2 different timelines, and we've made sure to acknowledge that, and certainly will be flexible with them when and where we need to. Last Friday, I held a meeting or a training with the new 2 applicants that are in the new Call for Quality Schools cycle. We talked about the application itself, and we talked about funding streams. One thing that I'd flag for that is as you all know, the Mississippi Adequate Education funding is no longer, and we have the Mississippi Student Fund. And that is new to us, as it is to most everybody. It's really new to us in the application cycle because applicants have to submit a startup budget, and they have to submit a 5-year proposed budget. Not knowing what those weighted students will look like will be a little bit tricky. So Embark and I and the Department of Education are going to have a meeting coming up in the next week or so to talk about what that might look like and how we can help the schools navigate those new changes through the funding formula. And then I'll talk just a little bit about our strategic plan. In 2017 and 19, there was a strategic plan with strategic priorities here. When I got here, 2020, we updated that plan and those priorities. We built out the reflective strategic priorities that you see back on the wall back there and the value statements. So those were adjusted a bit in 2020. And then last week, in response to a memo from NACSA that was via Mississippi First through the CSP grant, You all received some additional actions that we've taken in response to that memo, as well as the evaluation that was conducted by the National Charter Schools Institute. All of those things will help to inform our next steps in the strategic plan. And then hopefully April 30th, that'll work out for everybody. So if you can put your hold on your calendar for that date, that'd be great. Upcoming, I've got shop talk with my colleagues from Alabama, Louisiana, and Arkansas and Tennessee at the end of the month. I have a Cognia Advisory Committee meeting coming up, and then the May convening in A game and debrief. That is my report for the month, unless questions.
Well, I do have one question.
Okay.
Y'all, you mentioned the ESSER grants.
Yes.
And they have spent their money. I'm assuming they have already gotten reimbursement on this.
So they didn't say requested. Request, you may not have been reimbursed yet. I'm guessing that's what it said. I can follow up. I mean,
There's some that
that had
not
just not been
had
reimbursed.
spent the money but had not been reimbursed.
You know how many districts have been in?
They had late liquidation. And to some extent, to your point, some had requested reimbursement and we have draw down.
Okay.
So some of the charters may have been, I don't know. I mean, they might have expended it, but they haven't received their reimbursement. So there's kind of two issues happening there.
And I did go in and do a drawdown for our hours because I didn't know if that was going to be impacted at all. Probably not, since it was congressional, not through the Department of Education. I didn't imagine it would be, but I didn't want to take any chances. So I went ahead and completed the final drawdown for that. So we are good on that. I got confirmation.
Oh, thank you all so much, Dr. McDonald. That's great news on the renewal. It's really looking forward to all of those things.
Other questions, anybody else?
And turn it over to you and your financial report.
Well, the financial report this time is going to be very, very short, unlike Lisa's, that was longer than it was normally. The financial report only covers the last 3 weeks because we had a short time since our last meeting. And in those 3 weeks, we only had operating expenses, and they were primarily for 1 month of salaries. There was no travel and no equipment expended in those 3 weeks. We did expend $4,025 in contractual. Most of that was for normal operational things, and there was a bill for legal expenses that was $2,800, which is much lower than it has been in previous months.
Best we can.
There you go. That's right. And then that's right. So, and then the supply expenses was right at $1,500. So in total, you didn't spend much at all in those last 3 weeks. And then the only revenue that you received was $52.80 for a public records request. Yeah, big money. So
That's a big request.
yeah, well, and it's so strange. They ask for how many open purchase orders have you processed, and we only process a couple of purchase orders a quarter, and they spend $52 to find that out. But and it's all on the transparency
That's
side.
just to say it's all listed publicly anyway.
Right, but we'll take the $52. And then the only other thing I just wanted that y'all probably know is that the legislature did not pass a budget for FY26 at this point in time. So we'll just have to wait for a special session to see what happens. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
You're doing your part to keep the legal bills down, I see. I don't believe we have any committee reports. We don't have any one here for public comment. Do we have any discussion items? Telling me no? Okay, so we do have a little bit of new business listed on the agenda. The first was to consider approval of the marketing branding project proposal from Mad Genius. but I have been told that the contract needs to have some updating and some new terms added. So if we could get someone to make a motion to table that, we can circle back at our next meeting.
I move that we table the consideration of the marketing branding project proposal.
And is there a second? Thank you both. Is there any discussion or any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The second item we have is approval for the website project request. I think Jordan is gonna,
I have comments for you about that item that we're really gonna work nicely with the other report, but if we don't have that, that's okay. So we're gonna move forward with considering that item, I guess.
Yes, do you want to come over here?
I'm gonna stay at mission control because I wanna show you something on the screen.
Okay.
But I have this mic. Thank you for reminding
Okay.
me to turn it on. Can hear me on the phone. Okay.
Okay.
So if I could turn your attention to the website, please. This has been our website for maybe the last 4 years. I think we had maybe an update in 21 or 22, but it's been around for a bit. So when we come back to the marketing branding proposal one day, we'd like to talk with you guys about redesigning our logo. And that would lead nicely into this conversation, and that is we'd love to redesign the website. What we have right now is a free template from Tyler Technologies, and it's a great website. It holds a lot of resources, but it's somewhat limited in functionality and personality. So we would really like for the board to consider Tyler Tech doing a custom web design for us. Tyler Technologies may not be familiar to everybody, but they have done the website for the state of Mississippi. I have that pulled up for you. They also did a custom site for the pharmacy board, as well as the community colleges board. And you'll see this really cool page where they have all of the schools displayed. And I would love to do like a showcase with our charters like that. So there's a lot more functionality on these sites, a lot of expanded features. We can do a lot, and it can look more attractive, more user-friendly, and just more engaging overall. So what is in your packet is a quote from Tyler Technologies to custom design something for us. It would be this time next year if we start that work now, because they have some other vendors in their lineup, or some other folks in their lineup and projects. So it'll be this time next year before we would have a new site. But I've worked with them for a while on the current site. They will handle the content migration, and I just feel really confident in their abilities to give us something really nice and on par with other state agencies. So, and then I think Denise had a comment for us on the vendor.
So Tyler Tech actually is the state's vendor for websites, and they have that template that they will give to every state agency. And then they have an agreement with ITS that if you want to spend more and have a better website, all you have to do is give the quote to ITS, and they create what they call a CP1, which is a computer authorization to purchase. And they are on standby for us to submit them the quote. That's all we need. We don't have to have double quotes. We don't have to have anything else, because they are the vendor of record for website design.
do you want us to go ahead and vote on this, or do you want to hold off and wait on the other? We can go forward.
Go ahead and go forward with this, please.
And I will tell you one reason to do that is because Tyler Tech, because they do this for all state agencies, to get on their list, and so that you get things done.
To get in the queue.
Absolutely get in the queue.
Are we gonna be able to have, or y'all have conversations with them about the compliance and accessibility piece? Because when it comes to education, I mean, we had to sit down with the feds about our website and, voice accessibility and the contrasting colors and things of that nature, to make sure that those with visual and hearing impairments all have access to it. amongst other things, it was kind of, and the Department of Ed relaunched theirs to cover kind of all of that last year. And I just want to make sure that
We haven't talked about that.
the K-12 website accessibility might differ than any other of the state agencies. So I just want to make sure that when we're talking about compliance and accessibility, we make sure.
I think we need to have that conversation. and I'm not
Absolutely.
sure we have.
We
at
have
all.
not, but we did talk to them about it being more mobile friendly because a lot of our families and callers are using their phone to access our website and resources. So we've talked to them about that. So I'll add that to my list to discuss with Derek, the project lead, because like that makes a lot of sense and we haven't spoken about that.
But there's a federal law, isn't there?
That's, yeah.
So that we'll need to.
And it's, some of the things are just things that you don't, like as a normal user, you don't think about. And it's, you would think looking at a white and black page is fine, but for some, it's a problem.
Absolutely. It's on my list.
We'll follow up with that for sure.
Yep.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this project. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Guess I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Someone just join us. Okay, so there is an informational item at this time.
A little bit informational discussion, a little bit of both. But as you guys will recall, for the past couple of years, 2.5 years or so, I've worked really closely with West Ed on a project called the Indicators of Distress, which helps identify those early warning signs in a school, and in a charter school in particular, that would give an authorizer a pause for concern before there's a death spiral that takes effect, and you can get in and provide some support to that school ahead of time. And so in talking with a couple of vendors and having actually a dinner, Marcy was able to attend a dinner with one of the vendors. We talked about what might we be able to do and what might we need to do to fill in some of the gaps where some of the schools are struggling. And one of the major things that anything, when you begin to do work anywhere, anytime, you need to take a complete needs assessment. You need to follow up on and find out where the alignment is to those indicators of distress. So, for example, if you have a handout in front of you, a little blue, I put that together just real quickly so you could kind of follow along. And folks on the phone, I sent that to you in email, so you should have just a recent email that has this attachment. But for example, if you look across there, you see the major indicator for indicators of distress. One of those is leadership, and one of those is governance. And then if you see the vendor's name there in the center, you see that they, in their needs assessment, would cover that particular area. Our framework doesn't cover that. So there are some gaps here, and the goal would be if we could do a needs assessment at 3 of our schools that have had some challenges over time, and any school that really wanted to get this secondary look at the big picture, so looking at culture and instruction and finance and operations and governance, all those things that are important to the health of the school, we could provide that for them and actually pay for it for them. So I guess I just wanted to get a sense from the board. I've already spoken with Dylan about the authority that we would have to do that. And certainly we have the authority to conduct a needs assessment, not do to, but working with the schools on this. We would certainly want their buy-in, but don't, in a legal way, don't have to have that. I wouldn't want to go in and work with the schools if we didn't have their buy-in, and I would want to encourage them to participate. It's all in an effort to help them and support them, and there are turnaround models and turnaround opportunities out there for charter schools who are struggling in one way or the other through these identified indicators of distress and early warning signs. And so with your permission or go forward, go and make this happen kind of thing, or if you need to take an actual vote on that, I just really wanted to put it before you today, and then I could have those conversations with the stop there, pause there, and see if anybody has a question about it. So you can kind of know a little bit more.
Yeah, I just think it's a great opportunity for us to provide support to the schools that could use the support, and I think that's always helpful when we can do that and not overstep
Right.
our, I know there are things we can't do. There are
Right.
ways that we are prevented from stepping in, but support in all the ways that we can, I think is not only for us and for the schools, but for the entire community.
Right. Other questions or comments?
See what the schools say. I think that's a great,
Okay.
Money in the budget.
I'm
There is
sorry.
a budget line item for technical assistance to schools already, so.
Right. Okay. Anybody on the phone have a question or? Okay. All right, well, thank you for that, and I think that's all I have.
I just need to Okay, so at this time, I believe that there is a need for us to consider going to executive session. So is there a motion that that a board member would consider making a closed determination of the need to go into executive session?
So maybe.
You didn't want to have a second.
We have a motion.
Sandy made a motion.
Aaron can second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So the motion carries. At this point, those of you that are with us on the phone, if you'll give us just a second to clear the boardroom, I'd appreciate that.
Alrighty, so the board has voted to go into executive session pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 2541-7 for D, for the purpose of investigative proceedings by any public body regarding allegations of misconduct or violation of law.
We're now back in open session during, executive session, no action was taken. Our renewal timeline and allow schools time. At 239 North Lamar Street, Suite.
Vernon, I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Aaron Meyer.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries.
We don't know when she joined.
You guys that are on the phone, thank y'all for being here, and, if you would, please mark your calendar for the 30th, and I'll work with Ms. Altman and see if she can gather a work session for us that day, and then we can.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.